Hey everyone, I'm pretty excited because Rebecca posted about this thing called the Steel Path in the Warframe forums. So, what is the Steel Path? It is the new name for hard mode, which is being added to Warframe. There's a thread right now where you can opt in. They have 1,000 key codes that they're going to be giving away. There's currently almost 4,000 people who've posted in here, so there's about a 25% chance of getting in as of the time that I'm recording this. The likelihood of getting in will diminish further into tomorrow when they finally close the thread. I'm hoping to get in, and we'll have more to talk about that in the future. In the meantime, what is the Steel Path? It is a higher difficulty series of content that rewards exclusive cosmetic decorations, emotes, and mastery. I think that that's a good idea. If there's anything exclusive to hard mode, or the Steel Path as they want to call it, those exclusive items should be purely cosmetic, not game-changing items that give you more power or that affect regular gameplay, like arcanes or weapons or mods or warframes or anything like that. Because as soon as they start adding stuff like that, it creates balance problems, it creates frictions in the community, it makes people feel like they're compelled or they're forced or they have to play hard mode, it'll create whining. So I think this is fair because you can defend this. If people say, oh, you have to play hard mode, no, you don't. The rewards are purely cosmetic. So I like that. Just give me a badge of honor. Just give me some sort of badge of honor that I can put on my Warframe or put on my profile to show that I did the hardest difficulty. And yeah. Now, what's going to give you reasons to do it beyond that? That goes into this last point, and that's the extrinsic reward beyond that could be better scaling, affinity, and mod rewards. I think that this is a fair way to reward people for doing more difficult content through an extrinsic way. So what I mean by that is it's similar to disruption game mode. If you do it in the difficult way, you get through the content faster. You can power level your Warframe, for example, with more affinity. You can get the rewards quicker. You can maybe grind out more mods or get the mod that you're looking for faster, but it's more difficult. But it's not exclusive to doing it the difficult way. If you want to do it the easier way by playing on normal mode, you will still be able to get the same rewards. It's just going to take you longer to do that. So, for example, you're not going to power level by casually leaning back in your chair, drinking a beer, half paying attention to the game, and chatting with your friends as you casually go through the game. But you're not trying to get there super fast. You're just casually making your way up to the summit of the mountain. And if you want to do the steel path, you can be sweating, stressing out, having a difficult time, and being challenged and climb the summit of the mountain like you're speeding your way up there. I think this is a fair way to balance rewards. Okay, this last green point here. It is an extra layer of opportunity for players to use their powerful gear to take on threats at a higher level without having to wait in missions for long periods of time. This gets really to the heart of the issue. I don't want to have to wait for an hour in a survival mission before the enemies start to get difficult. Case in point, last night I was doing a arbitration survival mission. I got 35 minutes into the mission. I was falling asleep at my keyboard and I just left the mission. I didn't leave the mission because it was too difficult. I left the mission because I was falling asleep. I was bored. Now, on that point, I was using a Naros with a Grand Prime, with a Riven. I was meta slaving with a super powerful build. I could have made it more difficult by taking it down a notch using a less powerful Warframe and an off meta build. But then that begs the question, what's the point of having my super powerful builds if there's nowhere else for me to flex them and use them? Right? So it's a philosophical debate. We can debate this till the end of time, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to move on to the next point. What the Steel Path is not. It is not intended to be associated with the nebulous end game topic. This confuses me. I don't know why that's even being said. Does it even need to be said? Who cares? Who cares if it's associated with endgame or not? I don't. But I'm assuming that there's people out there who will complain if this is associated with endgame content because those players probably have really cool ideas on other ways that Digital Extremes can address endgame content and would be disappointed if they simply slapped on plus 100 onto the enemy's level and called that endgame content. I'm assuming that's the reason why this is being said. I don't know. Anyway, next point. It is not intended to be overly complicated in its goal. It is simply to provide higher level content and some exclusive rewards and cosmetic exclusive rewards. That makes sense to me. It's pretty obvious that Digital Extremes has lots of things that they're working and juggling on right now. It would be fair to assume that they're only going to put a smaller portion of their workforce towards this while they're also working on TanoCon, the new player experience, modular arc wings, the Corpus faction to Railjack and so on and so forth. So I'm just glad that anybody at all is working on this. I appreciate it when Digital Extremes works on stuff that's focused towards my portion of the player base, and I am part of this portion of the player base that cares about this kind of stuff. These are probably some of the exclusive rewards, by the way, these little items you can put on your ship. And the last point, it isn't tiered. So originally, when this idea was proposed, I think it was D. Scott said that he was thinking about having two different tiers: hard mode, where the enemies have plus 50 to their level, and ultra hard mode, where they have plus 100. It seems like they're doing away with that, probably because they're now cognizant of the matchmaking issues that can happen if you have multiple different tiers of difficulty. We're already having issues in Warframe where it can get difficult finding other players in matchmaking. So let's say, for example, you want to find corrupted mods. For example, you want to open vaults in the Derelict. It's kind of difficult to find people to do that. You have to rely on the chat to do that. But not only that, when you start getting into hunting Kuvas, or Kuva liches, if you're playing during the nighttime, at least in my experience, it's pretty rare to run into other players while hunting Kuva liches. Same thing with Railjack. Sometimes I'll be playing Railjack and I won't run into other players, and it's kind of disappointing because it is a multiplayer game. I want to get matched up with other players, and the more nodes and the more different game types that the developers add to the game, the more and more divided the player base is, and the harder it is to find other people to play with. So this doesn't get to the root of the issue. I think that that warrants a solution unto itself, maybe in the future, because this just adds to the problem. Now there's one more layer on top of everything else that divides the player base. So hopefully they can come up with a solution to that. My suggestion is to just have a more flexible matchmaking system. So for example, if I want to matchmake with anybody that's fighting Kuva liches, just have an option for that. I don't care what planet they're on or what level their lich is, just anyone hunting a Kuva lich, let me match with them. Same thing with Railjack. I don't care if they're on Earth or Saturn or the Veil or wherever, just match me with someone doing a Railjack mission so I can find people to play with, and so on and so forth. If they can do something like that, that might be able to help alleviate the issue with the division of the player base through these different and additional game modes. Anyway, that's all I gotta say. If you got any thoughts on this, let me know in the comment section below. Thank you, Digital Extremes, for working on this. I really do appreciate it, and thank you, whoever is watching this. Take care.